Matt Mercer and Brennan Lee Mulligan saved my YouTube channel. The one where I cover D&D and RPG scandals and news. Thanks guys. But it's not all bad news for you because they might also just save the RPG hobby too. So if you somehow missed it, this month was massive for RPGs and especially Dungeons & Dragons, as Critical Role have launched their brand new, massive and pretty epic Campaign 4 and created a massive shift in the RPG hobby. Now, for context, leaving aside RPGs in general for a moment, within just the Critical Role fandom, there was hope with this new campaign. There was a belief that this could be a fresh chance for Critical Role, Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan, et al., whoever Al is, to move on from the negativity that surrounded previous Critical Role campaigns. Unfortunately, there was still some outrage, some anger, and controversy. So we're gonna have to get into that, and why there might actually be some issues with Campaign 4 of Critical Role, as well as how there's something a lot bigger going on here, and that includes Dungeons & Dragons YouTubers. And I know that most people think that RPG YouTubers don't actually ever play the games, but I actually do. And when I am taking notes for my Dungeons & Dragons, or really any RPG game, sometimes I want to bring a little bit of that magic to the real world. Now, unfortunately, we don't have wizards in real life, at least not yet, but we do have space. So behold, the Hoverpan Interstellar, inspired by the very cosmos itself. This innovative ballpoint pen is crafted from premium aerospace-grade aluminium, but that's not all, because it also floats. That's right, the Hoverpan Interstellar can actually float in its stand through the power of magnets. This is real magic, just, you know, the science kind. Because this video is sponsored by Novium, and I've been using both their award-winning Hoverpan Interstellar and Hoverpan Future in my games as my writing tool of choice over the last month, and it has been awesome. The Hoverpan Interstellar is totally refillable and a super comfortable writing experience. The Hoverpan Interstellar actually received the Time Award for one of the best inventions. It's also the ultimate gift idea, especially for a space enthusiast. It looks fantastic on a desk in either Space Black, Starlight Silver, Neptune Blue, or Mars Magma colors. The Hoverpan Interstellar stands at a 23.5-degree angle, matching the Earth's tilt. And there's even a premium version that comes with an authentic meteorite shard embedded in its tip. The meteorite is actually older than the Earth itself, making it even older than your music taste. But for those who prefer a fountain pen or rollerball pen, the Hoverpan Future is also available in deep black, frost silver, or mint blue, and features an even more futuristic look. So within the next 48 hours of this video going live, use my code DISCOURSE or click the link in the description below and get 15% off all Hoverpans. There's free shipping available worldwide. And if you click this link after that 48-hour period, the discount goes down to 10%, so you're gonna wanna get in there fast. Get that gift in time for Christmas, and thanks to Novium for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so Campaign 4. It has arrived. We're in a couple of episodes of it now, and honestly, it has really surprised and shocked me. Because the last couple of years, things have been a bit rocky for Critical Role, especially in relation to their big flagship live play shows. You know, the big campaigns. Especially the last campaign that was just done there, Campaign 3, that turned out to have been super controversial. I think I heard more complaints about that Dungeons & Dragons campaign in the last year than the game I ran where I had a player character whose fetish was gnomes. That was it. That was his entire deal. He just really, really liked gnomes. So in other words, there was a lot of complaints. Some reasonable, some unreasonable about Campaign 3. And it is definitely now, in hindsight, the most controversial Critical Role campaign, at least so far. But it has left a legacy in the Critical Role community because it had inspired quite a bit of negativity loop in community spaces. And this was even impacting Critical Role, the show. hype was low, excitement was dulled, and worst of all, seemingly as a result, views were down on Critical Role shows, and they started to get really bad and really low, like all-time low bad. Views were down, everything was down, and this meant that Critical Role were losing relevancy in the RPG hobby in general. Unfortunately, being in this space, views are kind of king, you know, you're only as big as your last project. Speaking of, Campaign 4 is here. But is it a success? Can it save Critical Role? Can we get out of the negativity loop of Campaign 3? Can we get all the numbers back up? Is Campaign 4 going to inspire a new cohort of RPG players? Are we going to see the Brennan Lee Mulligan effect? Well, the big answer is... I don't know, it's too early to tell. The campaign literally just started. There's no way anyone could answer that. What are you, crazy? What do you think, I'm a physic or something? However, the campaign is starting off on a good foot. It's going pretty well, and I think that there are elements that bode really well for the show, beyond just whether or not the actual episodes themselves are enjoyable to watch, which they have been so far, by the way. I mean, the characters have been interesting. Brennan Lee Mulligan being the new dungeon master in Critical Role has made things feel really fresh, as well as the campaign being set in a brand new setting. It just feels like you're taking a sip of comfortable piss and discovered that it's actually lemon juice and delightful. The new campaign so far has kind of been doing everything it needs to do, but business-wise, there are some really good signs going forward for Critical Role. Firstly, the number of viewers on the live show have been insane. The first episode especially was a huge event. There were over 100,000 people watching the first episode of Critical Role Campaign 4 live on YouTube, and there were over 41,000 Twitch views. That is a crazy number. I didn't even know there was that many people on Twitch, and it's well above anything that Critical Role have seen in recent memory. It's a really nice bump of views against that long-term kind of decline in viewership that we were talking about earlier that we'd seen before. And those numbers aren't even including all the viewers who watch the show on Beacon, the Critical Role specific like platform. And there's probably, okay, a smaller number of people watching on that, but all those views were monetized. That's a lot of cha-ching. Wish I could do that myself. Please check out my Patreon. But that's just the live shows. We also have the YouTube videos themselves blowing up. At the time of me writing this video, the first episode of Campaign 4 is already well over 2 million views, and it will likely climb and climb for a while and get pretty far. And bear in mind, that's for a video with a 4-hour runtime, and I get complaints about getting to the point fast enough. These videos are like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Come on. And yes, for this campaign, Critical Role have obviously partnered with mega Dungeon Master star Brennan Lee Mulligan, who is a huge influencer. He has a massive audience of his own and is an entertaining Dungeon Master and very dramatic. And I think that's going to help keep interest and viewers high in the campaign as it gets along. And it really seems like Critical Role have found a formula for this new campaign that has worked out. Everything is feeling super fresh and new, and it's honestly exactly what the show needed. It's great. Things are off to a very good start. Critical Role have come out swinging, and this has been reflected on the internet. There's tons of videos and articles talking about how well the show is doing, and that is great. However, this is Dungeons and Discourse, so you know I have to talk about it. There's been a little bit of controversy about this new campaign, and some counterpoints to all my rosy, sunny positivity, which I've told my doctor I'm trying to engage a lot more in now. But alas, I must still sometimes play into the ogre reputation that I have gotten amongst Critical Role fans. The one where I'm just a negative Nelly about the Critical Role group. When I'm not, really. I'm really not. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like my videos are Rorschach tests. People see whatever it is they want to see when they watch it. Like, for example, every time I reference a video game, I just put a blank image up in the corner. No one has noticed that it's blank. They always say they see some video game or other. It's different for everyone. So what you're looking at right now, I probably reveal something about your own character. And if you do like what you see, why not subscribe to the channel for more? But yeah, there's been a lot of gushing for Campaign 4, and the numbers are looking good, but they're still not quite where they were a few years back. And look, while yes, the views are better than before, compared to previous campaigns, they're still way down than a few years ago. If there is indeed a Critical Role view crisis, they are still deep within it. Though that said, this new campaign has generated an upswing of views compared to the last year or two, and the viewer base is way more split these days between YouTube, Twitch, and Beacon when compared to previous campaigns. However, we are early into the new campaign, when views are going to be at their highest and at their most inflated from hype. I mean, the first couple episodes always perform well. Campaign 3's very first episode right now has like 13 million views on the video, and people are still very conflicted about that campaign. Plus, you know, sorry, but I have to bring it up. I'm still left with a bit of residual disappointment that Critical Role aren't using their platform to spotlight Daggerheart and position it as their main RPG system of choice in their main campaigns. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. I understand why they're not, but I like Daggerheart. I want more casual people to know that there's more games out there than just Dungeons and Dragons. Though I did love the lampshading of this whole drama in the show during their ad break in the first episode. That was pretty good. But all those points aside, there's something I've noticed as well, something I didn't really want to talk about on this channel because I can't quantify it by looking at like view numbers or statistics, but there is an ephemeral feeling in the air. People are really excited to talk about Critical Role again. It has lit a fire in the community and the show just feels fresh and new. And there's been a ton of positivity around, and that's really awesome to see. People are happy, viewers are happy, critters are happy, even the haters are a little bit happy. The only real controversy that has come out about the campaign so far that feels particularly sharp is that some people don't like Abria's role-playing, saying that she has main character syndrome, which I don't think I agree with, but even the format of the new campaign is split up now so that only certain characters will appear in certain parties and certain episodes. So if you're someone who doesn't like her character, you can just watch the episodes with the characters that you do like. It's like Critical Role saw this one coming and have already resolved it from the get-go. So yeah, even if Campaign 3 had a ton of haters, it seems like everyone has come back for Campaign 4. They've all returned to the fold. And this is good, because I think this campaign succeeding is exactly what we all need in the RPG hobby right now. God knows I need it. There's something really dark happening in RPGs at the minute. And frankly, it's really depressing. It's actually affected this channel, and you might have noticed that videos here have gotten a little bit less frequent as a result, and it's the massive scandal that secret pieces have been taken into the basement of Hasbro, but also the fact that it's almost impossible right now to talk about Dungeons and Dragons because literally it really feels like no one cares, including Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. Videos covering Dungeons and Dragons on YouTube seem to be dropping in views. Less people are talking about RPGs. There's no new content coming out. And even Hasbro feel like they've abandoned their core game. Like, yeah, okay, there's been like 3 years of extremely shitty scandals and outrages and controversy around D&D, and it's been exhausting, but those felt different to me. They felt like, at least on my end, they felt like we were fighting for something, but now it feels like everyone has just given up. And this has gotten worse and worse ever since the disastrous launch of the not new edition of Dungeons & Dragons 2024 5.5 edition. That launch was a disaster. It seems like no one picked it up, and there has been nothing since that. That launch was, for all intents and purposes, a bit of a disaster for Dungeons & Dragons. It was a failed launch, and it has sucked all the air out of the room, and nobody, not even Hasbro, seems to even care. All they're talking about is AITMs and franchising the game and buying new video game studios. And really, the new game content that we're getting for Dungeons & Dragons is what? Dark Sun? The setting where halflings did climate change 9/11 and then reinvented the slave trade? Look, okay, I love Dark Sun. I collect heavy metal magazines, for God's sake. Of course I love Dark Sun, but it's a crazy, gonzo setting, and so much of it is completely unpalatable to a company like Hasbro. So I don't even see why they're bothering to do Dark Sun when they'll have to make, obviously, just so many changes to the setting of Dark Sun that'll completely rob it of what makes it even special. It'll please nobody and just piss off everyone. Like, why are they doing this? Then add on top the fact that the DMs Guild website, the biggest source of all third-party RPG content, is kind of dying right now, and it's being overwhelmed with AI books. And so everyone that wants to actually make third-party content and sell them for Dungeons and Dragons right now are being forced to sell their products on Hasbro's own D&D Beyond platform, which, by the way, has restrictions in place that I think are even more onerous than the infamous OGL of the OGL scandal. And like, geez, you know? But worst of all, at least for me on YouTube, is that YouTube has seemingly declared war on D&D YouTubers. It feels impossible right now to get views just covering Dungeons and Dragons the game. That is, unless you're already a mega big creator. You can see it in tons of different creators' videos on this platform. Views are dropping across the board really hard. And this is all compounding together to just making RPGs not fun to be online with right now, and not fun to be really engaging in the discourse. So in that context, just having something, anything cool and fun and RPG related right now and positive to cling on to has been great. Campaign 4, it has been really cool, and I hope it helps people get excited about RPGs again, because I need it, and I think it might save D&D YouTube, not only in the long term, but because whenever people watch Critical Role videos, it gets D&D and RPG videos suggested more algorithmically. Yeah, algorithmically. I fucking said it. And I know that some people want Critical Role to be less relevant. Personally, I'm not one of them. I'm actually the opposite. I think the Critical Role are really important for the health of the broader RPG hobby. And when I say that, I always get a ton of hate. But I think it's very arguably true, especially when you really sit down and mull on it. Like my now, in hindsight, self-evident sexual attraction to pandas. The signs were always there. Consider it, Critical Role are important. They interject RPGs into broader pop culture really well. They are a super visible beacon, pun intended, to the casual, normie world out there about RPGs, about TTRPGs. They're a f***ing lighthouse for nerds. Unlike a sinister siren weaving her song, Matt Mercer and the crew, they constantly bring in waves of new people into RPGs in general because those new guys, they watched Critical Role and they wanted to experience that show for themselves in their own home, perhaps with a little bit less foreplay. Critical Role creates entire generations of people who want to play RPGs. I mean, say all you want about the Matt Mercer effect, but at least that effect inspired a whole ton of new people to get into trying to dungeon master their first game. No one ever talks about that, but I'll take it over the million new AI improvements to a dungeon master or AI chatbot or whatever it is that Hasbro want to come up with next. And I think sometimes as a hobby community, as role players, we just forget just how fucking cool it is to have essentially what is an improv radio play that uses the framework of a role-playing game to create fiction drama and randomize the result of actions of an entire theater troupe that gets millions of viewers every single week. That is cool. That is cool, no matter what way you slice it. It's also probably protection against another satanic panic, at least one that doesn't, start in the legislature. And yes, Critical Role may not always accurately represent the standard home game of Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, it may be RPG porn, but everybody loves porn, especially the people who say they don't. Come on, Pastor, I've seen your furry profile. I know your fursona, and it's a panda, isn't it? So I'm hopeful that with this new burst of excitement and interest in Critical Role, it will help kickstart RPG YouTube up again, the proverbial sprig of ginger up the horse's butthole. Not to mention that it's not just YouTubers that need another generation of players to get into role-playing games and watch their content, because all our tables need the next generation to populate our games, and like it or not, Critical Role is a massive font by which they do so. So this campaign, doing well and succeeding, is really important. And so far, it looks like it is. I'm happy about that, because we could all use a win right now. So thanks for watching, and thanks to my patrons who keep me going even when the Realm of Mordor seems so very strong. It's only thanks to patrons that I can keep doing this. So if you want to support my channel, check out Patreon, linked below, and thanks to my patrons, especially CryptoKev, and I'll catch y'all next time.
Oh, and don't forget to click the link in the description below or use my code Discourse and get 15% off all hover pens from Noviem. Remember, that's free shipping available worldwide.
Bye-bye.